enormous. And they're right, especially on that last point.
Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2009.
The question we ask today is not whether our government is too big or too small, but whether it works.
Inspiring words, but President Obama's detractors say they knew what he really meant. Bigger is better.
When you were watching the inauguration, what were your thoughts on how he would lead?
Same old stuff. Same. I expected nothing to change, and nothing really has changed philosophically.
It's what you'd expect Congressman Ron Paul to say. A Republican who leans libertarian, he ran for president in 2008 as an anti-war small government candidate.
Does government have its hand in every facet of our lives?
Everything we do, everything we put in our mouths, everything, every penny we spend, every contract we make, the federal government is involved.
Government is the problem.
It's a charge that's fueling the Tea Party movement. Claims of socialism aside, the federal government is getting fatter. According to a George Mason University study, President George W. Bush presided over the largest dollar increase in regulatory spending in decades. And President Obama's piling on with the auto bailout and cash for clunkers. Truth is, our government has been getting fatter for 60 years. These books list and explain every single federal regulation, from education to transportation. In 2008, there were 222 volumes of government regulations, nearly 160,000 pages. In 1951, there were just 46 volumes and about 16,000 pages.
Is there a point when government becomes so big that it can't possibly work well?
Oh, well, of course, because think about yourself. If you're trying to do too many things, it's hard to do anything well.
William Eggers co-authored a book about effective government. And while he says he's nonpartisan when it comes to the size of government, he does say big government gets a bad rap.
We've had a lot of successes over the years.
Oh, please name some.
Acid rain. It was a huge problem back in the 1970s. We don't hear anything about acid rain today, right?
Right.
Well,
Thanks to the Environmental Protection Agency. Another example, the government's Marshall Plan, which helped rebuild Europe after World War II. There were misses, too. Remember all those whip inflation now buttons? The government used them to push its inflation-busting program, which failed miserably. That failing part is what many voters fear today.
I am nobody's senator except yours.
That's part of the reason Democrats lost a Senate seat, and why Eggers says President Obama must convince Americans government can work, even if it's big.
Ooh, but that's a tall order in these times. Another thing to keep in mind, it's not so easy to shrink government. It takes hard work, and guess what? It takes bipartisan support on the part of lawmakers. Welfare reform, remember that? Everybody loved welfare reform. Well, according to the Committee for a Responsible Federal Government, it took 30 years to finally reform welfare. John?
It's kind of like mission creep, isn't it? It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
It does. But like I said, it's really difficult to shrink government. It takes hard work, and it takes cooperation from both, Democrats and Republicans.
Right. Carol Costello this morning. Great piece this morning, Carol. Thanks so much. You can read more about Carol's story online. Plus, we want to know what you think about all of this. Has Uncle Sam gotten too big? Does he need to shed a few pounds? Just head to our blog at cnn.com/amfix.
Well, right now it is coming on across the half hour right now, and it's time for our top stories. Authorities in LA are